The immigration crackdown is officially underway. With President Trump's mass deportation plan in full swing, undocumented immigrants are facing some of the toughest laws, strictest police enforcement, and most aggressive anti-immigrant policies seen in years. But not all states are handling it the same way. Some are making life even harder for illegal immigrants than others. From expanded ICE operations to statewide deportation task forces, these states are leading the charge in making undocumented life nearly impossible. If you're an illegal immigrant in the U.S. in 2025, these are the worst states to be in right now. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for more engaging content like these. Let's get started. Number 10. Tennessee. Tennessee has quickly become one of the most hostile states for undocumented immigrants. In early 2025, Governor Bill Lee signed new legislation creating a state immigration enforcement division, allocating $5.5 million to help state police cooperate directly with ICE. This means that even minor traffic stops could lead to detainment and deportation. The new laws don't stop there. Tennessee is now requiring all non-citizens to have distinct driver's licenses, making it easier for law enforcement to single out undocumented people. A 2025 survey by the Tennessee Star found that over 60% of residents support mass deportations, fueling even more aggressive policies. For many immigrants, daily life has turned into a risk. Reports of random ICE raids at shopping centers, traffic checkpoints targeting Latino drivers, and workplace sweeps are skyrocketing. Even hospitals are seeing increased reporting requirements, meaning undocumented patients could be flagged for deportation. The fear is driving people out. Many undocumented families are choosing to leave the state entirely, other than risk deportation. With police, lawmakers, and even the public pushing for a crackdown, Tennessee has become one of the most dangerous places for illegal immigrants. Number 9. Florida. Florida has doubled down on its anti-immigrant stance in 2025, with Governor Ron DeSantis leading the charge. Under new state laws, businesses caught hiring undocumented workers can now face steep fines or even criminal charges. This has forced many industries, including agriculture and construction, to lay off thousands of workers overnight. The healthcare sector is also cracking down. Florida hospitals are now required to report undocumented patients to state authorities, raising concerns that many immigrants will avoid seeking medical care altogether. According to the Florida Immigrant Coalition, this has already resulted in a surge in preventable medical emergencies across immigrant communities. But the biggest change is law enforcement's growing role in deportations. Florida has increased funding to help ICE conduct mass detentions, leading to a 42% rise in immigration arrests since January 2025. In cities like Miami, Tampa, and Orlando, police checkpoints and workplace raids have become routine. The message is clear: if you're undocumented in Florida, you're a target. Community leaders warn that racial profiling is on the rise, with Latino and immigrant-heavy neighborhoods seeing increased police presence. With more deportation efforts in motion, many undocumented families are fleeing the state. Number 8. Texas. Texas has always been tough on immigration, but in 2025, Governor Greg Abbott took things to another level. Under a new law known as SB 4, local police now have the power to arrest and detain illegal immigrants, even without ICE involvement. This means that even a minor traffic violation could lead to deportation. Cities near the border are feeling the worst of it. In places like El Paso and Laredo, deportation rates have skyrocketed by 48% since the law went into effect. According to the Texas Tribune, Latinos are now being stopped by police at record high rates, with many officers acting on racial profiling. Texas has also expanded workplace enforcement, forcing all businesses to use mandatory E-Verify to screen workers for legal status. Industries like construction, food service, and landscaping have been hit hard, with tens of thousands of layoffs reported since the start of the year. But perhaps the biggest concern is the expansion of Texas ICE facilities. As deportations increase, detention centers are filling up rapidly, with reports of overcrowding and worsening conditions in immigrant detention centers. If you're an undocumented immigrant in Texas, you're running out of safe places to hide. Number 7. Arizona. Arizona has been known for some of the toughest anti-immigrant laws in the country, and 2025 is no exception. The state has reintroduced its infamous "Show Me Your Papers" law, giving police the right to question anyone about their immigration status during routine stops. The results have been alarming. A 2025 report by the Phoenix Sun found that Latinos in Arizona are now 52% more likely to be stopped by police than any other racial group. In places like Mesa and Tucson, immigration enforcement raids have tripled, with reports of families being detained at apartment complexes in the middle of the night. Arizona's new laws don't stop at policing. The state recently cut all state-funded benefits for undocumented immigrants, including healthcare programs and in-state college tuition. For many young immigrants, this means losing access to education and medical care overnight. Workplaces aren't safe either. Under Arizona's new strict employer penalties, businesses caught hiring undocumented workers could face permanent shutdowns. This has wiped out thousands of jobs, leaving many undocumented immigrants with no income and nowhere to turn. For those still in Arizona, the fear is real. Reports of police harassment, ICE raids, and deportation sweeps are growing by the day. Undocumented families are leaving the state in record numbers, desperate to find a safer place to live. Number 6. Georgia. Georgia has been one of the most aggressive states in enforcing immigration laws since 2025 began. A new law passed in January makes it mandatory for all police departments to check immigration status when making an arrest, even for minor offenses. This means that getting pulled over for a broken taillight could result in deportation. The crackdown is already in motion. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, immigration-related arrests have increased by 58% in just 6 months. Gas stations, public transit stops, and even grocery stores have become hotspots for ICE sweeps, leaving immigrant communities terrified to even step outside their homes. Georgia has also cut state funding for programs that previously provided health care, housing, and legal aid to undocumented immigrants. This has forced many out of their homes and into dangerous living conditions, as they struggle to survive without assistance. The state has made one thing clear: there will be no help for undocumented residents. Lawmakers are pushing for even harsher policies, including a bill that would ban undocumented immigrants from renting homes or apartments. If passed, this law could force thousands of families out of the state, making Georgia one of the most difficult places for illegal immigrants to live. For many undocumented residents, the only choice is to leave before they are caught. With state police working alongside ICE and new laws making daily life impossible, Georgia is becoming one of the most dangerous states for illegal immigrants in 2025. Number 5. South Carolina. South Carolina has ramped up immigration enforcement at an alarming rate, making it one of the least hospitable states for undocumented immigrants. A 2025 executive order by Governor Henry McMaster now requires all employers to use E-Verify, meaning businesses caught hiring illegal workers face massive fines and possible shutdowns. This has wiped out entire industries, with mass layoffs hitting agriculture, construction, and hospitality the hardest. Many business owners are struggling to replace workers, while undocumented employees are facing homelessness due to sudden job loss. The economic effects are devastating. South Carolina law enforcement has also expanded police powers, allowing officers to detain undocumented individuals until ICE arrives. According to the state newspaper, the number of immigration-related arrests has jumped by 63% since the law went into effect. Routine traffic stops have turned into deportation traps. Immigrant families are avoiding schools, hospitals, and public places out of fear of being reported. Hospitals now require proof of citizenship for certain services, forcing some immigrants to go without medical care. This has led to a healthcare crisis among undocumented communities. South Carolina is sending a clear message: if you don't have legal status, you're not welcome here. With ICE more active than ever, and state-backed deportation efforts in full force, undocumented immigrants in South Carolina are running out of options fast. Number 4. Alabama. Alabama has long been one of the toughest states on immigration, and 2025 has only made things worse. A new statewide initiative allows police officers to ask for proof of legal status during any interaction, meaning even a simple question from law enforcement could lead to deportation. With state police actively working alongside ICE, workplace raids and neighborhood sweeps have become a daily occurrence in immigrant-heavy areas. According to al.com, Alabama now has one of the highest undocumented detention rates in the country. This means that once you're caught, you're likely to be deported quickly. The job market has collapsed for undocumented workers. Alabama law now bans any employer from hiring someone without legal status, forcing thousands of undocumented families out of work overnight. Many businesses that relied on immigrant labor are struggling to stay afloat. Undocumented students have also been affected. Public universities are now required to check immigration status, and some have even revoked scholarships for students who can't prove legal residency. This means that even young immigrants who have lived in Alabama their whole lives are at risk. With local police, businesses, and schools all enforcing anti-immigration laws, Alabama is making sure that undocumented immigrants have nowhere to turn. For many, the only option is to leave the state before it's too late. Number 3. Mississippi. Mississippi has gone from bad to worse in 2025 when it comes to undocumented immigrants. Under a new state law enforcement officers must detain and report anyone they suspect is in the country illegally. This means that racial profiling has skyrocketed, with Latino and immigrant communities being disproportionately targeted. The state is also cracking down on landlords who rent to undocumented individuals. A 2025 bill signed by Governor Tate Reeves makes it illegal to lease housing to undocumented immigrants, forcing many families out of their homes. Some are now living in overcrowded conditions or fleeing the state altogether. Workplaces are being heavily monitored, too. The state has implemented random inspections to catch undocumented workers, and businesses caught violating the law face fines of up to $100,000. This has led to mass layoffs in industries like farming, hospitality, and construction. Even basic services are harder to access. Mississippi now requires proof of legal status for things like driver's licenses, Medicaid, and even library cards. For many undocumented residents, it feels like they are being erased from society altogether. With no housing, no jobs, and constant fear of arrest, Mississippi is forcing undocumented immigrants out at an unprecedented rate. If you're undocumented and still living here, it may be time to leave before it's too late. Number 2. Louisiana. Louisiana has taken one of the most extreme stances on immigration in 2025. A new statewide stop and verify law allows police officers to check immigration status during any routine stop, meaning that even walking down the street could get you questioned. The law has already led to a surge in deportations. According to NOLA.com, immigration arrests in Louisiana are up 74% in just 6 months. Many families are now avoiding public spaces altogether out of fear of being detained. Louisiana is also making it nearly impossible for undocumented immigrants to work. All employers must verify work authorization, and undocumented workers caught using false documents face immediate deportation. This has caused widespread unemployment and forced many immigrants to leave the state entirely. Housing is also a problem. Louisiana now bans landlords from renting to undocumented tenants, meaning thousands of families are now struggling to find places to live. Many are crowding into shelters or sleeping in cars just to avoid being on the streets. The harsh reality is that Louisiana has declared war on illegal immigrants. With aggressive policing, housing restrictions, and employment crackdowns, this state is making life impossible for anyone without legal status. Number 1. West Virginia. If there's one state where undocumented immigrants are least welcome in 2025, it's West Virginia. The state's strict new immigration policies have completely cut off access to jobs, housing, and state services for anyone without legal status. West Virginia now requires all employers to report undocumented workers, leading to record high layoffs in industries that once relied on immigrant labor. The result? Mass unemployment and an increase in homelessness among undocumented families. Law enforcement has been fully integrated with ICE operations. In cities like Charleston and Morgantown, police officers are actively checking IDs at bus stations, shopping centers, and even schools. If you're undocumented, you're never truly safe. West Virginia has also eliminated all state assistance for non-citizens, including medical care, food stamps, and public schooling. This has left thousands of immigrants without resources and forced many to leave the state for good. With zero protections, strict policing, and no economic opportunities, West Virginia has become the hardest place in America for illegal immigrants. If you're undocumented, this is the last place you want to be. Here are 5 practical tips to consider if you live in a state targeted for mass deportations. Know your legal rights whether you're a citizen, a legal resident, or undocumented. Understanding your rights during an immigration stop or raid can help protect you. Have important documents ready. Keep identification, work permits, legal paperwork, and emergency contacts easily accessible in case of sudden enforcement actions. Stay updated on local policies. Some states and cities offer legal protections or resources for immigrants, so knowing your area's stance can help you navigate the situation. Connect with legal aid and support networks. Many organizations provide free or low-cost legal help, so finding a trusted attorney or advocacy group now can make a difference. Prepare a family and safety plan if deportation is a risk. Having a plan in place for childcare, finances, and emergency contacts can help reduce chaos and uncertainty. With Trump's mass deportations in full swing, these states are taking the hardest line on immigration. Whether it's police crackdowns, new laws targeting businesses, or aggressive ICE partnerships, these places are making life nearly impossible for undocumented immigrants. Do you think these states are going too far, or are they just enforcing the law? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more updates on what's happening across America.